Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind. Man, oh man, are we starting to see some serious demographic shifts. You know, one thing you should never do is take people for granted. Let's say you're running a fundraiser, or really whatever it is, you're running a business. If you have support from wealthy people, from donors or investors, or even just support in general, not even necessarily monetary support, those people are uplifting you. Those people are keeping you in a position to be able to, actually do things, mobilize funds, mobilize people, volunteers, you name it. Those people are at the core of your organization, your ability to really do anything. You cannot take those people for granted. And this is a lesson that the Democrats should have taken seriously maybe like 2 decades ago. Democrats have some very, very loyal voter blocks. Well, one by one, it seems like they're shedding those voter groups at such an unprecedented speed. It's kind of unbelievable. We are seeing an incredibly fast political shift in terms of demographics. We already covered young Gen Z males identifying as conservatives at the highest level since I think Ronald Reagan, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe since the Bush years. And now to add insult to injury for the Democrat Party, we're seeing a huge shift, arguably just as huge of a shift when it comes to black voters. And the cherry on top, to help push this phenomenon to the next level, the black vote is shifting so significantly that we're now even seeing former Black Lives Matter organizers and founders coming out in support, directly endorsing Donald Trump for president ahead of 2024. I never thought those words would leave my mouth, but it's simply the reality. The demographic shift continues. Black voters are getting on the Trump train, the Trump bandwagon, as finally we are seeing a mass awakening moment. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so I wasn't kidding. Read the headline. Black Lives Matter leader turns against Democrats over, quote, racist policies, backs Trump for president. Quote, we're not stupid. A Black Lives Matter BLM leader threw his support behind former President Donald Trump in the 2024 race for the White House, accusing the Democrats of racist policies that are working against the black community. Let's take a look at what this man had to say on Fox News.
Now to this. The co-founder of Black Lives Matter, Rhode Island, is endorsing former President Trump and calling out the Democrats for what he calls years of racist policies. Watch.
We've been used and abused for so long by that party. They don't value our vote. Their policies are basically racist policies, and I believe it's a racist party. Donald Trump he's the opposite. He's going to tell you how it is. He's going to give it to you straight. Trump has done more for the black community than any president I can think of in my lifetime.
And he's not alone in his criticism. President Biden faces dismal approval numbers among black voters in key swing states. Joining us now, the co-founder of Black Lives Matter Rhode Island, Mark Fisher. Mark, thanks so much for joining the program. This is my favorite story of the day because it identifies with what I've seen in the barbershop. All the brothers, for some reason right now, are turning tides right now. And I just wonder, what is the big reason?
I think personally, it's the duplicity of the Democrats, the hypocrisy. We're not stupid. The brothers are not stupid. We understand when someone's for us and when someone is not. And it's obvious that the Democratic Party is not for us.
This guy hits the nail on the head. Now, I just want to clarify something. He's a Black Lives Matter founder from Rhode Island. But the headline here, or the story here, isn't BLM endorses Donald Trump, but rather a former BLM leader and founder, now turned conservative, who's seen the light. That's the perfect headline. It's not Patrice Cancoulers and the BLM organization that money laundered fundraising dollars to the Democrat Party and Act Blue. It's not the BLM organization that scammed the American public so they could buy lavish mansions. We're talking about a lone activist. We're talking about an individual who most likely dedicated his life to the betterment of black lives. Somebody who probably at the time wasn't able to see through the BLM charade, bought into all the narratives, and then had a awakening moment where he finally realized the truth. You could only take advantage of a group of people for so long until they wake up. You could only fail to deliver tangible results to your constituents for so long until people start to wake up and people say enough is enough. And that's what we're seeing, folks. We've covered so many different stories, which helps us come to the conclusion this is the inflection point, especially with black voters. I think it's a realization moment. I think people are finally paying attention and not just voting for Hillary Clinton or voting for the Democrat Party because Hillary Clinton went on the Charlemagne the God podcast and talked about how she has hot sauce in her purse. I think people are realizing the empty pandering. People are getting privy to the nonstop lies, the false bill of goods marketed by the Democrat Party towards black voters. Vote for us, because everybody's racist. Vote for us, because Donald Trump is racist. Vote for us if you want the right to vote. If you don't want to be put back in chains, right?
They're going to put you all back in chains.
You know, the nonstop fear-mongering, using slavery and civil rights and lack of rights or the possible stripping of rights as an emotional tool to manipulate black voters to arguably, I mean, you could even say in a twisted way, kind of blackmail black voters into supporting the Democrat Party. Meanwhile, the actual reality of policies are failing schools, unsafe neighborhoods, drug-ridden neighborhoods. Now we have the illegal migration crisis hitting majority black communities more so than anybody else. A uniquely Democrat Joe Biden-made problem. The economic state continues to deteriorate. Black Americans are doing worse, making less money and less employed. And I think it's kind of like a head-scratching moment, you know? We voted for this guy. We voted for Joe Biden because he said that Trump was the problem and that he was going to make our life better. We voted for him, and now literally everything is worse. We have less, and our neighborhoods are falling apart. I think a lot of people are thinking, you know, maybe Trump wasn't that bad. Maybe Trump wasn't a racist. Or maybe, hopefully, I think the conclusion that we should be getting to is that racially targeted politics in general, identity politics, is toxic and clearly manipulative rather than substantive. You know, maybe Trump and Republicans aren't racists because they refuse to pander to specific voter groups and promise, you know, everything in the world. Maybe a more individualist economic approach is the best approach. Absolutely it is. You know, government policies, government departments, and government subsidies and spending targeting particular groups has never helped anybody. The only way that you help communities is by creating an even economic playing field, creating safe neighborhoods, strong, thriving neighborhoods with economic advancement and opportunity, with thriving businesses, safe streets. And so what people ought to be realizing, what I hope people are realizing, is that they need to vote for public safety and free market capitalism. That's how we solve these problems. You know, Donald Trump did the most for black voters, did the most for black Americans, more so than pretty much every other modern American president, without actually doing anything for black Americans. See, that's kind of what people need to realize. What black America needs is what America needs. Economic freedom and strong policing. And that was the path that the Trump administration was attempting to pave. Joe Biden took the bulldozer to it, obviously, but now it's time to go back. It's time to repave the road. It's time to go back and undo all the damage. It's time to leave all the identity politics, the grifter politics, the grievance politics. It's time to move forward and focus on what matters. Economics, free trade, open markets, less burdensome regulation, less government in general, and more power to the individual. That's how you thrive, that's how individuals thrive, that's how families thrive, and that's how communities thrive. Everything the Democrats do is by design to keep you in a box, to keep you suppressed, desperate, dependent. It's time to wake up, it's time to free yourself from the Democrat plantation. All that's needed is a little inspiration, a little political inspiration, you know? The revival of the American dream is how we solve most of these problems. And the only way to do that is to get Joe Biden and all of these Democrats and even some of these Republicans in their grubby little hands out of your life. And to stop with all the culture war nonsense and identity politics nonsense, and to focus on trade and freedom. The answer is there, it's been there, and now even former BLM founders are starting to find it, they're starting to see it. The answer is Trump. It's Donald J. Trump for president 2024. That's what it is. Let's freaking go, folks. If this isn't proof that things are changing, then I don't know what is. That's what I got for you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, friends, and I will see you on the next one.